Settle in and let your thoughts drift gently toward the wide, quiet ocean. Tonight we are going to follow the story of whales, slowly and softly, from their distant beginnings to the lives they live today in the deep blue water. There is no need to remember every detail. There is no need to hold on tightly to any one idea. You can simply listen and let the story move around you, like a calm tide moving over smooth sand. Whales are among the largest animals that have ever lived, yet their story begins in a surprisingly small and ordinary way. Long before the great blue whale moved through the sea, long before humpback songs traveled through ocean basins, long before gray whales migrated along quiet coastlines, the ancestors of whales lived on land. They were mammals, warm-blooded animals, with lungs for breathing air and bodies covered with hair. They walked on four legs, and they lived near the edges of ancient rivers and shallow seas. The world was different then. The continents had different shapes, the climate was warmer in many places, and the coastline shifted gently over long periods of time. These early whale ancestors did not look much like whales at first. Some of them were small, perhaps the size of a wolf or a large dog. They had hooves and long tails, and they spent part of their lives on land. But they were drawn to the water. In the water there was food, shelter, and a way of moving that required a different kind of body. Over many millions of years, generation by generation, their bodies changed. Not quickly, not suddenly, but slowly, in the steady way that life changes when time is deep and patient. Their legs became better for swimming, their bodies became longer and smoother, their tails became stronger, their ears changed so they could hear underwater, their nostrils moved gradually toward the tops of their heads, becoming blowholes so they could breathe more easily at the surface. And eventually, these animals left the land behind. They became creatures of the sea, but they remained mammals. Even now, whales still breathe air. They still give birth to live young. They still nurse their calves with milk. They still keep warm with a layer of fat, called blubber, beneath the skin. And, in a quiet way, their bodies still carry memories of their land-dwelling past. Some whales have small bones deep inside them, remnants of hind limbs that are no longer visible from the outside. It is peaceful to imagine the ocean at dawn, and a whale rising slowly to breathe. The surface opens, the whale exhales, and a misty plume rises into the air. Then it inhales, fills its great lungs, and slips down again. The movement is simple. Up to breathe, down to travel. Up to breathe, down to rest. Up to breathe, down to feed. Whales belong to a group of animals called cetaceans. This group includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises. They are all related, all adapted to life in water, all descendants of those ancient mammals that returned to the sea. Within the cetaceans, whales are often divided into two main groups, toothed whales and baleen whales. Toothed whales, as their name suggests, have teeth. This group includes sperm whales, orcas, beluga whales, narwhals, pilot whales, and many kinds of dolphins. Toothed whales often hunt fish, squid, and other animals. Many of them use echolocation, a remarkable form of sensing the world through sound. They make clicks and listen for the echoes. In this way, they can understand shakes, distances, and movement in dark water. Baleen whales are different. Instead of teeth, they have baleen, which looks a little like long, flexible combs hanging from the upper jaw. Baleen is made of keratin, the same material found in human fingernails and hair. These whales use baleen to filter food from the water. They take in enormous mouthfuls of seawater, filled with small animals such as krill or tiny fish, then push the water out through the baleen, trapping the food inside. This way of feeding can support very large bodies. Blue whales, fin whales, humpback whales, right whales, bowhead whales, gray whales, and minke whales are all baleen whales. They do not chase large prey with teeth. Instead, they feed by gathering countless small lives from the sea. slowly, repeatedly, season after season. The blue whale is the largest animal known to have lived on Earth. Larger than any dinosaur, larger than any creature of the deep past. A blue whale can be longer than a basketball court, and its heart can be as large as a small car. Yet it feeds mainly on krill, small shrimp-like animals that drift in vast swarms in cold, rich waters. There is something calming in this contrast. The largest animal, living on some of the smallest animals. A blue whale opens its mouth, the pleated skin of its throat expands, and thousands of gallons of water rush in. Then the whale closes its mouth, presses its tongue upward, and water flows out through the baleen. The krill remain. One mouthful, then another. A slow rhythm of feeding, breathing, diving, and rising again. Whales are shaped by rhythm. The rhythm of the breath, the rhythm of the tides, the rhythm of migration, the rhythm of seasons, when food blooms in cold waters, and calves are born in warmer waters far away. Many baleen whales migrate long distances each year. Some travel from feeding grounds near the poles to breeding grounds in the tropics or subtropics. In the cold, nutrient-rich waters, they feed heavily, building up energy. In the warmer waters, where there may be less food, they give birth and nurse their calves. Then, when the time is right, they return again to the feeding grounds. Humpback whales are famous for long migrations. A humpback may travel thousands of miles in a year, moving between summer feeding areas and winter breeding areas. Along the way, it follows routes passed down through generations. The young learn from the old. The ocean becomes a map of memory, written not on paper, but in movement, in sound, and in instinct. Gray whales also make long journeys. Some gray whales travel along the western coast of North America, between the Arctic and the warm lagoons of Baja California. In northern waters, they feed on small animals in the seafloor mud. They turn on their sides, scoop up sediment, and filter it through their baleen. In the quiet lagoons farther south, mothers give birth to calves in sheltered water. A newborn whale calf begins life already large, but still very dependent. It must swim soon after birth. It must rise to the surface for its first breath. The mother helps, guiding the calf gently upward. Whale milk is rich and thick, full of fat, and it helps the calf grow quickly. For months, the calf stays near its mother, learning her movements, her sounds, her pace. There is a softness in the image of a whale calf swimming close beside its mother, sheltered by her size, moving through warm water. The calf breathes more often than the adult, rising and sinking, rising and sinking. It learns the slow pattern of life at the surface and below. It learns where to go, when to travel, and perhaps, in ways we are only beginning to understand, how to listen. Sound is deeply important in the lives of whales. In water, sound travels farther and faster than it does in air. Light fades quickly in the ocean, especially at depth, but sound can move across great distances. For whales, sound can be a way of finding food, keeping contact, navigating, and communicating. Humpback whales are known for their songs. Male humpbacks in breeding areas produce long patterned songs that may last for many minutes and may be repeated for hours. These songs change slowly over time. Whales in the same region often sing similar songs, and the songs can spread from one group to another, like a slow-moving tradition across the sea. The songs are made of moans, cries, pulses, and tones. To human ears, they can seem strange, beautiful, and distant, but to the whales, they have meaning, or at least purpose, shaped by behavior and biology. Scientists are still studying why humpbacks sing and how the songs are learned and changed. As with many things about whales, we know some details, and much remains quiet and mysterious. Blue whales make very low-frequency sounds, some of which can travel enormous distances through the ocean. Fin whales also produce low pulses. These deep sounds are below or near the lower edge of human hearing. They are not loud in the way a sudden noise is loud. They are more like the slow voice of distance, carrying through water from one place to another. Toothed whales use sound in another remarkable way. Sperm whales, dolphins, and many others produce rapid clicks for echolocation. A sperm whale, diving into deep water, may use clicks to search for squid in darkness. The echoes return with information. In a world without sunlight, sound becomes a kind of sight. Sperm whales are the largest toothed whales. They have huge square heads, and they can dive very deeply, sometimes more than 1,000 meters below the surface. They hunt squid, including large deep-sea squid in cold, dark water where pressure is high and light is absent. A sperm whale may hold its breath for more than an hour, though dive times vary. Before diving, it breathes several times at the surface, then arches its back, lifts its broad tail flukes, and descends. Down below, the water becomes darker, colder, and quieter in a special way. The sunlight thins, then fades. The whale moves through the deep, guided by sound, by memory, by senses suited to that hidden world. It searches, feeds, and eventually rises again, slowly returning to the surface, where the air waits. Whales are mammals of two worlds, the world of water and the world of air. They live in the sea, yet they must return again and again to breathe. Their breathing is conscious, unlike the automatic breathing of humans during sleep. Because of this, whales sleep in a different way. Many cetaceans rest one half of the brain at a time, while the other half remains awake enough to surface and breathe. One eye may stay open, then later the other. Sleep for them is a careful balance. Some whales rest near the surface, moving slowly or staying almost still. Sperm whales have been observed resting vertically in groups, their bodies suspended in the water like quiet columns. Dolphins may swim gently while resting. The ocean does not offer a bed, not in the way land does, but whales have their own ways of pausing, their own ways of being still. And now, as you listen, you might imagine that slow rest, not needing to picture it clearly, just letting the idea pass by. A great animal held by the water, breathing when it needs to breathe, resting in a way that belongs to the sea. Whales have many kinds of social lives. Some species are often seen alone or in small groups. Others form stable family groups. Orcas, which are actually the largest members of the dolphin family, live in complex societies. Many orcas stay with their mothers for life, forming matrilineal groups where knowledge is passed through older females. They have dialects, hunting traditions, and social bonds that can last for decades. Sperm whales also have social groups, especially among females and their young. They use patterns of clicks called codas, and different groups may have distinctive coda patterns. These patterns can be thought of as acoustic identities, though scientists continue to study what they mean and how they are used. In the open ocean, where there are no walls and few landmarks, sound can hold a group together. Beluga whales, pale and rounded, live in Arctic and subarctic waters. They are sometimes called sea canaries because of their varied calls. They can chirp, whistle, click, and squeak. Their necks are more flexible than those of many other whales, allowing them to turn their heads. Their white color helps them blend with ice and light. They move through cold water, through channels, bays, and estuaries, following fish and seasonal changes. Narwhals, close relatives of belugas, are known for the long spiral tusk found most often in males. The tusk is actually an elongated tooth, growing out through the upper lip. For a long time, people wondered about its purpose. Scientists now think the tusk may be used in social behavior, and it may also have sensory abilities. Narwhals live in Arctic waters, among ice, quiet bays, and deep channels. Bowhead whales also live in the Arctic. They are baleen whales with thick blubber and strong skulls, adapted to icy seas. Bowheads can live for a very long time, possibly over 200 years in some cases. They feed on small crustaceans, filtering them from cold water. Their lives move slowly through time, through seasons of ice and open water, through years and decades, and perhaps centuries. There is a kind of calm in thinking about animals that live so long. A bowhead whale may have been alive before many modern cities had taken their present shape. It may have traveled under Arctic skies year after year, hearing ice shift, hearing other whales call, following patterns older than memory. The bodies of whales are wonderfully adapted to life in water. Their shapes reduce drag, helping them glide with less effort. Their front limbs have become flippers, with bones inside that resemble the bones of a hand, including a humerus, radius, ulna, and finger bones. Their tails move up and down, unlike the side-to-side tails of fish. This up and down movement comes from their mammalian spine, inherited from ancestors that once ran on land. Their skin is smooth, and beneath it lies blubber, which stores energy and keeps them warm. In cold waters, blubber is essential. It helps maintain body temperature, especially during long dives or migrations. Whales also have special circulatory adaptations. They can direct blood flow to important organs, conserve oxygen, and tolerate changes in pressure during dives. When whales dive, their heart rate can slow. Oxygen is stored not only in the lungs, but also in the blood and muscles. A protein called myoglobin helps muscles hold oxygen, and diving mammals often have a lot of it. This allows them to stay underwater far longer than humans can. Still, they always return to the surface. The breath is a constant thread through whale life. The blow of a whale, the misty exhale at the surface, is not water from the lungs, but warm breath meeting cooler air, mixed with droplets from around the blowhole. Different species can have different blow shapes. A right whale has a V-shaped blow. A sperm whale's blow angles forward and to the left, because its blowhole is set on the left side of its head. A blue whale's blow can rise tall and straight. To people watching from a quiet boat or from a distant shore, the blow is often the first sign of a whale, a soft plume, appearing and fading. Then perhaps the back, dark and smooth. Then the small dorsal fin, or the rounded shape of the head. Then the tail flukes, lifting before a deeper dive. And then only water again. Whales are not fish, though for a long time people often spoke of them that way. They are mammals, fully adapted to the ocean. This simple fact helps explain so much about them: their need for air, their warm blood, their milk, their long care for their young, and their intelligent, social behavior. The story of whales is also a story of humans gradually learning to see them differently. For centuries, whales were hunted for oil, meat, baleen, and other materials. Whale oil once lit lamps and lubricated machinery. Baleen was used in corsets, umbrellas, and other flexible products. In the age of industrial whaling, many whale populations were greatly reduced. This part of the story is not a peaceful one, but we can speak of it gently, because understanding it matters. People once saw whales mostly as resources. Over time, science, observation, and changing values helped many people recognize whales as living beings with complex lives, important roles in ecosystems, and a right to continue in the sea. International protections now exist for many whale species, though the history is complicated and threats remain. Some whale populations have begun to recover. Humpback whales, for example, have increased in many regions since the end of widespread commercial whaling. Some blue whale populations remain much smaller than they once were. North Atlantic right whales are critically endangered, facing risks from ship strikes, entanglement in fishing gear, and changes in food availability. The ocean today is not the same as the ocean of the past. It carries ship noise, fishing lines, plastic, chemical pollution, and the effects of climate change. Whales live with these changes, and researchers work to understand and reduce the risks. Slower ship speeds can help reduce collisions. Changes in fishing gear can reduce entanglement. Protected areas can help safeguard feeding and breeding grounds. Listening carefully to whale sounds can help us understand where they are and how they are doing. Whales also help shape the ocean around them. Their feeding and movement can cycle nutrients through marine ecosystems. When whales dive deep and feed, then return to the surface and release waste, they bring nutrients upward, fertilizing tiny plant-like organisms called phytoplankton. Phytoplankton produce oxygen and form the base of many marine food webs. In this quiet way, whales can support life far beyond themselves. And when a whale dies, its story continues. A whale's body may sink to the seafloor, creating what scientists call a whale fall. In the deep ocean, where food can be scarce, a whale fall becomes an island of nourishment. First, scavengers arrive, such as hagfish, sharks, crabs, and other animals that feed on the soft tissue. Later, smaller organisms use the remaining material. Then, as the bones release fats and other compounds, specialized communities of bacteria and animals can thrive for years. The life of a whale, even after it ends, becomes part of the deep sea. It feeds communities that may never see sunlight. It links the surface ocean, where the whale once breathed, to the silent depths, where its body comes to rest. In this way, the whale belongs to many layers of the sea, to the surface, to the middle waters, and to the deep ocean floor. This is one of the gentle truths of ecology, that life is connected and nothing is entirely separate. The krill feed the blue whale. The whale moves nutrients. The whale's body one day feeds the deep, and the ocean continues slowly, patiently, holding each part in its own time. Whales have appeared in the stories, songs, and beliefs of many human cultures. Coastal peoples who lived near whales often watched their movements carefully. Some depended on whales for food and materials, using as much of the animal as possible. Others told stories of whales as powerful beings, guardians, ancestors, or travelers between worlds. The details vary widely, but again and again, whales have invited human attention. It is not hard to understand why. A whale is both visible and hidden. It rises, breathes, and disappears. It is enormous, yet often unseen. It may pass close to shore, or cross entire oceans beyond human view. It carries a sense of distance, not as something frightening, but as something wide and quiet. Even now, with satellites, underwater microphones, photo identification, genetic studies, and careful observation, whales remain partly mysterious. Scientists can identify individuals by the patterns on their flukes, by scars, by dorsal fins, or by markings on the skin. They can track movements, record songs, analyze DNA, and study feeding behavior. Yet no study can make a whale completely simple. A living animal is always more than a list of facts. Humpback whales, for example, can be recognized by the unique black and white patterns on the underside of their tail flukes. Researchers photograph these tails when the whales dive and compare the patterns, much like fingerprints. In this way, they can follow individuals across years, learning where they travel, where they feed, where they return. Blue whales can be identified by mottled patterns on their skin. Right whales have rough patches of skin on their heads, called callosities, which appear white because of small crustaceans living on them. These patterns help scientists tell one whale from another. Each animal has a life history, a path through the water, a record of journeys and encounters. Some whales feed with remarkable techniques. Humpbacks are known for bubble net feeding. A group of whales may swim in circles beneath a school of fish, releasing bubbles that form a kind of net. The fish gather tightly, confused or contained by the bubbles. Then the whales rise upward with open mouths, feeding together. This behavior is learned, coordinated, and not found in every population. Gray whales feed along the seafloor, stirring up sediment. Right whales skim through patches of tiny copepods, swimming with mouths open, filtering food continuously. Bride's whales and minke whales may lunge feed on small schooling fish. Each species has its own patterns, its own body suited to its way of feeding. The baleen of a whale is quiet and ordinary in appearance, yet it is one of nature's elegant tools. It allows a huge animal to separate food from water without needing to chew. The plates hang in rows, fringed on the inner edges. Water flows out, food stays in. Over and over, the whale gathers what it needs from the sea. The teeth of toothed whales are also varied. Orcas have strong, conical teeth. Sperm whales have teeth mainly in the lower jaw. Narwhals have the famous tusk. Dolphins have many small teeth suited for catching fish. But toothed whales do not chew in the way humans do. They usually grasp and swallow prey whole, or in pieces. Orcas are especially diverse in their diets. Some orca populations specialize in fish, such as salmon. Others hunt marine mammals. Some eat sharks or rays. Different populations may live in the same general region, but have different calls, different diets, and different social habits. These differences are so important that scientists often describe orca ecotypes, meaning distinct forms or populations with their own ways of life. Learning among whales can be deeply important. A young whale does not simply inherit a body, it also inherits a place in a social world. It may learn migration routes, feeding techniques, calls, and habits from its mother and group. Culture, in the broad sense of learned behavior passed between individuals, is increasingly recognized in whales and dolphins. This idea can feel quietly profound. In the ocean, traditions move not through books or buildings, but through living bodies, through songs, through following, through listening. A calf learns by staying near its mother. A young orca learns where salmon gather. A young humpback may learn a feeding technique by watching others. A sperm whale learns the cliques of its social group. The world of whales is a world of memory, carried in sound and movement. There are also smaller baleen whales, such as minke whales, which are sleek, fast, and widely distributed. They are often less famous than blue whales or humpbacks, but they are an important part of the whale family. Fin whales, the second largest whales, are long and streamlined, sometimes called the greyhounds of the sea, though, tonight, we can imagine them simply as quiet travelers. Sei whales, bride's whales, and others fill out the great variety of baleen whales, each with its own range and habits. Right whales received their name because whalers once considered them the right whales to hunt. They moved slowly, floated after being killed, and yielded large amounts of oil and baleen. Today, their name is a reminder of a difficult past. Right whales are broad and dark, with no dorsal fin, and they feed mainly on small copepods. North Atlantic right whales are among the most endangered large whales, and each individual matters greatly to the future of the species. In southern oceans, southern right whales have shown signs of recovery in some areas. They return to certain sheltered bays to give birth. Their calves stay close. People sometimes watch from shore as mothers and calves rest in gentle water. Watching from a distance, with care and respect, can allow humans to witness without disturbing. Whale watching, when done responsibly, has helped many people value living whales. Instead of seeing whales as products, people can see them as neighbors in the ocean, distant but real. Responsible guidelines keep boats at safe distances, limit approach times, and reduce noise and disturbance. The best kind of whale watching is patient. It allows the whale to choose its own path. Sometimes a whale may breach, lifting most of its body out of the water and falling back with a great splash. Sometimes a whale may slap its tail or pectoral fin on the surface. These behaviors can have many possible functions: communication, play, parasite removal, or social display. But we do not need to make them exciting tonight. We can simply know that whales move in many ways, and the surface sometimes records their presence with ripples spreading outward. Whale skin can host other lives. Barnacles attach to some whales, especially gray whales and humpbacks. Tiny crustaceans called whale lice may live in creases and rough patches of skin. These relationships are part of the moving ecosystem of a whale's body. A whale is not only an animal moving through the ocean, but also a surface, a habitat, a part of many smaller lives. The ocean itself changes around whales, through day and night, through seasons, through climate patterns. In polar waters, summer light can last for long hours, encouraging blooms of plankton. Krill gather in vast numbers. Fish follow plankton. Whales follow food. In winter, ice grows, light fades, and many whales travel elsewhere. These great movements are tied to the turning of Earth, the tilt of its axis, and the slow breathing of the planet's seasons. Climate change affects these patterns. Warming water, shifting currents, and changing ice can move food sources into new places. Whales may need to travel farther, change timing, or search differently. Some species may adapt more easily than others. To listen and to learn. Listening is one of the gentlest forms of studying whales. Underwater microphones, called hydrophones, can record the presence of whales even when no one sees them. A whale may pass in darkness or fog, beneath the waves, but its call can be heard. Over time, these recordings create maps of sound. They show when whales arrive, when they leave, how they respond to noise, and how their songs change. The ocean is not silent. It is filled with natural sounds: waves, rain, ice, fish, shrimp, earthquakes, and the calls of animals. Human sounds have been added: ship engines, sonar, drilling, construction. For whales that depend on hearing, noise can matter. It can mask calls, interrupt behavior, or make communication more difficult. Reducing unnecessary noise is one way of making the ocean more livable for them. There is comfort in knowing that many people are working quietly for whales: researchers, conservationists, sailors, coastal communities, policymakers, and ordinary observers. Some identify whales from photographs. Some untangle whales from fishing gear when it can be done safely. Some develop better technology. Some study old records. Some simply listen. The more we learn about whales, the more we understand that their lives are not simple. They are not just large animals passing through empty water. They are mothers and calves, singers and divers, travelers and feeders, members of groups, holders of memory. They live in a world of pressure, darkness, light, salt, sound, cold, warmth, and distance. And still, their daily needs are basic: to breathe, to feed, to rest, to move, to care for the young, to find one another. These simple needs connect them, in a quiet way, to all living beings. Imagine now a whale moving through twilight water. The sun is low above the horizon, and the surface is silver gray. The whale rises slowly, exhales, inhales, and sinks again. There is no hurry. The movement has been practiced over millions of years. The ocean lifts and lowers. The whale follows its own ancient rhythm. Perhaps it is a humpback, traveling with a calf through warm water. Perhaps it is a blue whale, moving alone through a field of krill. Perhaps it is a sperm whale, returning from the deep. Perhaps it is a bowhead beneath Arctic light, or a gray whale near a quiet coast. Each one belongs to its own story, and all of those stories are part of the larger story of whales. Whales remind us that life can be very old, very patient, and very connected. Their ancestors walked on land. Their descendants became masters of the sea. Their bodies changed, slowly and carefully, until they could cross oceans, dive into darkness, sing through water, and nourish ecosystems even after death. The story of whales is not only a story of size, it is a story of adaptation, a story of breath, a story of sound, a story of mothers and calves, a story of migration, feeding, resting, and returning, a story that moves slowly enough to fall asleep beside. And, as this story drifts toward its end, there is nothing more you need to do. You can let the facts soften. You can let the names fade. Blue whale, humpback, sperm whale, gray whale, bowhead, beluga, narwhal, right whale. Each name can pass like a small wave, arriving, lifting, and moving on. Somewhere far from here, a whale is rising to breathe. Somewhere, a calf is swimming close beside its mother. Somewhere, a song is moving through dark water. Somewhere in the deep sea, a whale fall is feeding quiet life on the ocean floor. And above it all, the surface moves gently, again and again, under the moon, under the stars, under the soft night sky. The whale breathes in and dives. The ocean settles. The story continues, slowly, quietly, far away.